Hey, what's going on? So I'm going out to get some steel here, and I just wanted to, I don't really want to talk about anything that's going on in the world because most people don't really care about what's going on in the world. What I want to do is probably just talk about driving safety. See, I drove for a long time. As a matter of fact, you see this shirt right here. It's Conway Freight, which is now XPO, but I drove a truck for a long time. Nothing to really brag about. They give you awards for driving multi-million miles. It's just normally a congratulatory plaque or something like that. But I've driven a lot of miles, people. I mean, a lot of miles, driven big vehicles. And right now, I'm just driving a Ford Transit van. But maybe some of you are looking for some tips because you're fixing to get your driver's license. I got my first driver's license the day I turned 16. It doesn't seem like people are really enthused about getting their driver's license as much these days, but the day I turned 16, I got my driver's license, and the day I turned 18, I got my Class A CDL to drive interstate here in Oklahoma. So, and my dad drove for a long time. I'm not here to become an expert when it comes to talking about driving semis. However, I might start a series on how you can get your permits and stuff like that, because I work for a couple of schools teaching people how to get their CDL. And I see the prices of the tuitions of these schools and the recruiters and stuff that come in. So I've got a whole different perspective, especially coming from this side, that I never went to a driving school, so I can sit here and tell you, you don't need to go to a driving school to get your Class A CDL. And I don't believe you need to pay $12,000, $15,000 to go to a welding school to get certified as a welder. Now, when it comes to welding, I really don't know that much shit about it. So, but I'm pretty sure you can get those certifications without spending astronomical amounts of money up front, to get them. I will research. This guy, Melton Metal Anthony, that I watch, I don't know if he went to welding school or not. I don't think he did, but the guy is damn good at his trade. I watch a lot of his videos, been learning a lot from him and a guy named Austin Ross that's on there. But this video is more about, if you've watched any of my videos, then this is something more or less what I've done my entire life. I guess I just got tired of driving a semi after 22 years. After you've seen the country 100 times over. And driving a truck, you're not really seeing the best areas of town either. It's normally the industrial side of town on everything you do. So you're always going to the bad side of town. They talk about Memphis, and if you heard anything about Memphis in the news, as a truck driver, I can attest, there's not a good side to Memphis anywhere. So it's New York, Hunts Point. I guess Hunts Point and Chicago have gotten a little... I can't really say that. Chicago has gotten better with the bridge heights. That's about the only thing I can say. There used to be a lot more low bridges in Chicago in the late 90s, early 2000s than there is now. They've actually fixed some of that, but not all of it. So I guess this is more like an intro, I guess. This is for your basic understanding of driving. So, maybe we'll cover two hands on the wheels. Maybe we'll cover what a double yellow line is, which means if you see two yellow lines, it means don't pass. If the zipper line is what I call it, or the dash line is on your side, and there's one solid line, it means the other side can't pass, and you can pass. If it's the opposite, it means you can't pass, and they can pass. See what I'm saying? making sure you keep a following distance, of 3 to 4 seconds of the car in front of you. And all the stuff that I'm talking about, once you get out there on the road, you're going to find out that a lot of people don't follow any of this shit, don't follow any of these basic rules, and they get themselves into trouble, normally in the form of an accident. So making sure you got enough room to be able to stop and not slam somebody in the ass, it's a good rule to follow. Like right now, there's a guy that's on my ass. And you're going to find this all the time. So when you got someone who's riding your ass, eventually they're going to try to pass you on a double yellow, and you need to kind of predict. Once you've driven long enough, you can kind of predict. It's almost like the car has a mind of its own. You can almost tell by the way they drive their cars what type of personality they have when they get out. It's kind of weird. I guess you might just have to have a couple million miles and drive 11, 14 hours a day to understand what I'm talking about. But a lot of people don't. They know the basics, and I don't think that they can really draw conclusions. But for the most part, you can drive down the road and not get into an accident. And if my goal here on this little video series is to teach you how to spot these people so that you can stay the hell away from them. Because you can't control what they are doing in their vehicle, but you can definitely control by just pulling off to the side of the road sometimes and taking a 5-minute break. That time, let those people go up the road and have an accident up in front of you. Don't be part of their... You don't want to be part of their accident, in other words. Is that making sense? When you come to a stop sign, make sure you look both ways. If you see somebody with a turn signal on, understand that they might not turn. If someone's got their right turn signal in and you're fixing to make a left-hand turn, they got their right turn signal. Well, fuck, you don't know. You need to think, has that guy's turn signal been on ever since he left the last town and he doesn't know it? Because I've seen that happen. People come out and they just crash right into the side of someone, T-bone them. And the guy said, well, he had a signal light on. Well, damn signal light, he forgot to turn it off. So you got to always be aware of what other people are doing. This type of shit happens every day. I actually think it's safer to fly in an airplane at 500 mile an hour than it is to drive a car. You're probably safer in an airplane. I'm pretty sure that's the statistics. So you're constantly watching what other people are doing, especially it used to be drunk driving, but people texting and driving, adjusting the radio, and people who are just plain not paying attention. And it happens all the time. All right? Right now, knowing what the speed limit is where you're at. I live in Oklahoma. We've got some roads out here that say the speed limit's 45, but I'll be damned if you can do 45 because they're so damn rough. You got to do like 20. So if you ever feel like you're being pressured, like people are on your ass and stuff like that, best thing to do is try to find yourself a spot to pull over and let those people go by you. Just let them go by you. There was one story that I had whenever I was driving down I-40 and I was coming out of Little Rock, Arkansas, and there was a guy in a Ford Ranger pickup truck. It was like blue. And I saw him coming at me. He was doing 100 mile an hour, and another trucker was trying to pass me, and he couldn't get by, and he was just weaving back and forth back there. I was like, damn. So I slowed down and let the trucker who was trying to pass me get by me, and I flipped my lights on, and he came over, and this fucking truck was barreling ass. I mean, flipping me off. He literally put his hand out the window, and he was like, giving me the finger. and he was gone. I mean, and all of a sudden, just as he was cresting the top of the hill, there was a construction zone, and he ran into the back of a fucking parked dump truck at 120 mile an hour. Shut the entire interstate down. I sat out there for 2 hours. It was one of those interstate shutdowns, and a lot of people might not experience this, but when there's a fatality, a lot of times they will, every time it's a fatality, they'll normally shut the interstate down. And everybody just parked out there. And if you're past an exit ramp, you kind of got to wait until the investigation's over unless they have a place to turn you around. Well, they didn't have a place to turn around, so it's kind of weird because everybody starts getting out of their vehicles and we're bullshitting. It's like, yeah, that guy passed us, and just the regular drama to pass the time because there's nothing going on. The nice thing about having a semi truck with a bathroom in it and all that was at least I wasn't dying of thirst out there on the side of the road. And that's another thing. Like, if you're driving your car, have a couple of bottles of water or something, because if something like that happens and you're dying of thirst, that's going to suck. So maybe have yourself some snacks or something, because sometimes people just will get into an accident and you're going to have a delay. Long story short, that guy died. I went up there and the coroner was up there. They had white sheets over the side. Now, he was pinned in the back. He hit the back of that dump truck at every bit of 100, 120 mile an hour. And that's the type of stuff you see. I was in Chicago on Highway 294 on the loop there, and a helicopter landed in the middle, and there was about 5 or 6. There was 5 or 6 police officers and paramedics walking down the road trying to find a dude's head. Coming out of St. Louis on I-44, I watched a motorcycle hit a bag of trash. Mom and Dad were, it was like 2 motorcycles, Mom and Dad, and son and his fiance. Probably the guy who crashed was in his 20s, and the dad was probably in his 40s. And they were riding tandem, and they weren't wearing any helmets. But the 20-year-old and his girlfriend, right in the fucking front of me, right over there on the right-hand side. I remember he hit that bag of trash. I hit my brakes, and he went. He gained a lot of following distance on me, but he was swerving like that. And he hit the ground at 65 mile an hour, and I literally watched his head get shaved, brains and all, just a blood stain all the way down the road. And that really wasn't even that guy's fault. He just hit a random piece of trash. Or it was a large black trash bag that had fallen off someone else's vehicle. So it just goes to show, like, when you're hauling shit, make sure it don't fall off on the road. Whoever hauled that bag of trash probably had no idea that bag of trash caused that, unless they were to do an investigation and they found some addresses or something inside that trash bag. But I'd see a lot of weird stuff, faces of death, Final Destination shit in my career. And then you've got the police officers and the paramedics who's got to get in there and sort through that mess at a really close rate. But I've watched it happen. I think the scariest moment was whenever I was coming out of, I was dropping down the loop there in Atlanta. And I remember there was a highway patrol, Georgia Highway Patrol. He was coming the opposite direction. And he was coming fast, but he was making a U-turn, and he lost it in the center median because it was wet. And he started spinning toward me like this. And I don't know how he recovered. I mean, cops have some training, and, if you drive long enough, but cops have a lot of evasive training. He was able to recover it, but he was doing donuts right toward the front of my truck, and I was trying to make evasive maneuvers by getting off to the side of the road and, hitting those brakes pretty good. But he missed me, and he kept on going. I don't know if he was going after a car chase or what, but these are little things that happen. 169, in between Tulsa and Kansas City, I had a guy that was playing chicken. It was like he was trying to commit suicide, and I was the guy he wanted to run into. I literally stopped on 169 and he cut back over at the last moment. So there's certain situations that if you drive long enough, you will have the hair standing up on the back of your head. And, you know, a lot of people just don't realize how much weird shit goes on the road. You know, like if you're commuting back and forth, you might pass a few thousand people, but, you know, as a truck driver, you could be passing 1 million people a day, you know, and every time someone's coming next to you, you're in danger. Because you never know what somebody else is going to do. And this is just a video to think about when you get out there and you start driving. The safest road is the road that you're the only one on it. And you're not impaired or anything like that. The safest road and the safest way to drive is when people are far away from you. Your chances of getting into an accident drop significantly when no one's around you. Duh, right? So when you're driving in traffic, people like to drive in clusters. If you notice, I call it the clusterfuck. You know, where you got 30 damn cars all trying to pass each other, all driving like just a few inches off each other's bumper, and then there's always a space in between. And then there might be 1 or 2 cars in that space. That's the area you want to try to shoot for every time you're driving.